Welcome, everybody. I am Ms. Yvette. This is Love Flow Ministries. This is a prophetic, healing, teaching, and deliverance ministry. I hope everybody is having a good day. God has led me to get on here to talk about word curses and where word curses began in my life. So, word curses began in my life at a very young age, starting when I was young. I remember my uncle. He was an alcoholic. He used to get drunk. Sloppy drunk. And what he would do was come over to the house. There were two houses. Still, it was two houses on the land where I grew up at. And he would come over to the main house drunk. He would pick on my grandma, my granddad, my mom, and hey, little old me, right? He would call me things such as retarded, crazy, big eye, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So me being a young child, hearing those things from my uncle, the one that's supposed to be protecting me, right? Speaking those word curses over my life, I was lost, to say the least. And of course, I'm expecting you to be an uncle. I'm expecting you to protect me as an uncle should protect their niece. However, that was the opposite. So of course, I automatically came into agreement with what he was speaking over my life. That started the insecurities. That started me questioning, like, what have I done wrong? Who am I? Why is my uncle so aggressive? Why is he speaking word curses over me like that? Of course, I didn't know what really word curses was. But now, hindsight, going through a lot of verbal abuse as a child, that kind of literally shaped my own perception or self-perception of who I am. And it would take years for me to debunk or for me to come out of agreement with the word curses that was spoken over my life as a child. And yes, he will continue on. It was a pattern. And I know you're wondering, like, where is your mom? Like, who protected you? And the harsh reality of that is, like, they did not say, or they could not do anything to protect me, right? Because of their own insecurities and their own fear of standing up to what's right, So, of course, as a young child, as a teenager, I developed a hatred in my heart, literally towards my mom and my grandma, because they did not protect me. They did not speak up to protect me from these types of abuse and things of that nature. The word curses, of course, began, and it was not an ending to it until, of course, I became an adult, and so that was like word curses. So also I remember one time, it became the norm. The dysfunction became such a norm to me. He came over to the house, my uncle came over to the house drunk as usual, picking with my grandfather, picking with my mom, my grandma, and voila, me being the youngest of all of the cousins and brothers, I always stayed at home with my mom and things of that nature, while like my brothers would go out and play basketball and etc. So he was calling me retarded or whatever the case may be, and I tried to voice my opinion of the situation. And as I tried to speak up for myself, I could just remember my uncle and my grandma laughing, So I'm like, what is going on here? So even as a child, I literally had to fight for who I am, for who God created me to be. And now, hindsight, I understand that because God has gifted me, because God has chosen me, and because I have a calling on my life, I literally was attacked as a child, example is Jesus Christ. Of course, they wanted to unalive Jesus even when he was a little boy. Pharaoh, of course, wanted to unalive him because of the calling that he had on his life. So for the children out there, the youth that has gone through traumatic experience as a child, that is an indication, one of the indications that they are called, that they have a major calling, and Satan is trying to destroy them before they know who they are. And that's the case. Satan was trying to destroy me before I knew who I was. And of course, some people see you before you see you. So as parents, it's very important to pray over your children. It's very important to speak life over your children. It's very important to encourage your children. And if anyone approaches you talking negatively about them, it's up to you to, of course, rebuke it. Come out of agreement. Do not agree with word curses. And word curses can start from just calling a child bad. I don't agree with that. Don't speak that over my child, to just really just saying negative things. So, So word curses is something, you have to be careful what you say, because power, life, and death is in the tongue, right? So always speak life. Always speak life, especially over your children. And it's very important that your children grows up in environments where it's positive, where there's no cussing, there's no strife. I grew up in a household where there was always strife. There was always confusion. It was always, just very dysfunctional and things of that nature. And I chose, I'm making the choice and things of that nature to make sure that my child does not grow up in a dysfunctional environment and things of that nature. So parents, please speak life. Please cover your children. And it's very vital to do that. So I got on here to share a little bit of my testimony about where word curses begun, I would say, or I literally came into agreement with it unconsciously or unknowing about it. Like I just like, you're my uncle, right? Okay, I look at you as an uncle, so you're speaking this over me. You're calling me retarded. You're calling me dumb. You're calling me all of those things, and I have not done anything to you to deserve. And of course, if I have done something, of course, as a child, no uncle should say those things about their niece. And as I grew to understand why he did it, I grew to understand that, of course, he grew up in a toxic environment. My grandfather used to literally beat my grandma, and my mother and my uncles experienced that. And that's traumatic, very trauma. So the phrase you would say, hurt people, that is true. Instead of breaking that cycle, he chose to follow the path of my grandfather. Where I'm at today, a lot of forgiveness. It took a lot of forgiveness. I forgive everyone who have hurted me and who are attempting to hurt me, because unforgiveness is something that the Bible says if you don't, then you give Satan access to you, So my advice to you out there, if you're going through any verbal abuse, people speaking word curses over you, please get out. Please don't come into agreement with it. And please remove yourself from that person. And for parents, cover your children. Speak life over your children. Make sure that your children is in positive environments. Okay? I love you guys with the love of Christ. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Miss Eubanks, love you guys again.